Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 56 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. I'm Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. We are set to recap the Daytona 500, a historic win for rookie Austin Cindric in just his 8th career start. We'll give you our thoughts and also look ahead to this weekend's race at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. Plus, we will have our news and notes and our Ask David segment coming up at the end of the show as well. David Starr joins us as always. David, first week of the NASCAR season officially in the books. How we doing?
Man, doing great. A little tired, but doing great. Man, what an awesome weekend of racing in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity race, and the Daytona 500. Man, the Great American Race Weekend did not disappoint anybody. It was intense. It was exciting, crazy crashes, drivers mad at drivers. It was awesome.
Yeah, it certainly was. And Dominic Oregon from the RacingExperts.com is also here with us as well. And Dom, we built this up last week here on the Studio Soapbox Network as our best week ever. And, our audience delivered. We had great numbers. The three of us had a hell of a time together out in Daytona, just enjoying ourselves and seeing some great racing action. Just a lot of fun the last couple of days. I'm still kind of catching my breath a little bit here.
Hey, I feel you that, and I echo David there. I'm a little tired, but I'm making it work. A lot of fun on the podcast, how we take these midweek. But Daytona was so much fun. It was great to see both of you, and it's always awesome. I think we get a lot done when we are in person, even more so than what we do when we're virtually. So a lot of fun with that. Having Jacques Villeneuve on the show Saturday night was awesome as well. And great racing, great 3 days of action, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between the openers with the truck, the Xfinity, and Cup Series. Yeah, it was definitely a week to remember, and you guys certainly made it memorable.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And David, I know that we didn't really talk about this much Saturday because we were looking more so ahead to the 500 and Jacques Villeneuve and such. But the Xfinity race, came up just a little bit short on making that race. Tell me about just that process and what happened there. I mean, you guys, in case people don't know, because I know that some folks don't understand exactly how all this works. Owner points, you guys didn't have any coming in. That kind of put you behind the 8 ball to begin with. It was tough going in ahead of time as is.
Yeah, man, Tyler, no doubt about it. I never even, in a million years considered what happened to us. It never crossed my mind. I don't believe I can't remember. It's been years. Can't remember the last time we didn't make a race, when Bobby Dotter and Jason Miller came to me about racing the second car for SS Greenlight Racing and driving a Ford Mustang with Ralph Shade's power underneath the hood, man, that's all I needed to hear, and I was in, and especially with my teammate Joe Graff Jr. Being exclusive Ford manufacturer back Ford team. I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity for me. Even though I had to give up 5 races throughout the season, I was okay with that. But man, I never even crossed my mind, buddy, that that we would, I knew we didn't have a provisional, but I'm like, yeah, I didn't. It's still. You don't think about that kind of stuff. It's never really ever happened to me. But, once practice started, our Ford Mustang, I think our first run, our splitter was hitting the racetrack a little bit. And, when your splitter's rubbing the track, that's scrubbing off speed. We had a right rear wheel bearing that was getting washed out. The grease in the bearing's getting washed out by the gear fluid, by the rear end gear oil, because we had these tiny axles in the rear end. And, once we made our first run, and, it takes about 10, 15, 20 minutes to make a run, because they're at a 2.5 mile super speedway like Daytona. When you pull off pit road and you come off the back straightaway, if you can see another car somewhere down the back straightaway or see it going into turn turn 3 there at Daytona International Speedway, then they're disturbing the air enough where it's helping you. You know what I mean? So to get a clean run, we only made 2 runs. It took us a while. And once I made that first run, told Jason, hey, I think it's hitting the splitter pretty hard. They jacked the car up and was looking it over. And obviously they were going to have to raise the front of the car, just, a 16th or an 1/8 inch, whatever it was. And then they discovered that right rear hub leaking gear oil. They had to fix that. But when we finally made our last run towards the end of the practice session, we picked up about 4/10 and ran a 50.14, which if that would have run that exact same time in qualifying, we'd have made the race. That was kind of like what's puzzled me about this. But to me, the Roush Yates 4-Power, which has always been awesome ever since I can remember, and I'm sure from you guys as well. Doug Yates, Robert Yates have always had, pole winning Daytona super speedway cars. And, for some reason, it looked like to me like the 4-Power cars were struggling. In practice, I saw a bunch of Chevrolets up near the front. And talking to Jason Miller, my crew chief, we talked about things. And he said, hey, we're going to be great because I didn't tape up the whole nose. We only had half the grill taped off, and we didn't have max skew in the rear of the car to get the the spoiler out of the air. And so we really thought we were going to run like a 49.90. And we came back the next day, and man, we ran a 50.26, and I was shocked, man, because as a driver, there's not much you can do. Coming off turn 2 in practice, I'm shifting into 4th gear. But in qualifying mode, man, I got up through the gears quick, and I was way off into 4th gear way before I came off turn 2. And you're scraping the wall. You're trying to make that lap as big and wide and get that car up to speed quickly. And, you just hold a pretty wheel. When I say that, you don't want to turn the wheel left or right. You don't want to have to turn the steering wheel any more than you need to, because if you're turning the steering wheel, the front tires are turning, you're scrubbing off speed. And, I'm like, man, that was a really great lap. And I was really surprised when I pulled down pit road. And I heard, and I was talking to Jason on the radio, and he told me what we ran. I'm like, wow, we went slower, taping up the grill completely, max skew in the rear end. We didn't have all that the day before. We went slower. So, man, I was puzzled. And or even at that, I still didn't think that we were going to go home. And I think we were the first one to miss the race. And there was cars that qualified behind us that raced, you know what I mean? But from a time standpoint, I think the last car that got in on time ran a 50.22, and we were a 50.26. I mean, you can't even measure that, you know what I mean? That's tight. But we never should have been, we never should have been there. But, it seemed like to me, I mean, I know Ford, they got a great racing program, and Roush Yates Motor have always been a powerhouse. But for the Xfinity side, that one lap that you need to qualify that everybody's got to run, I felt like the Ford, the Roush Yates, I don't know if it was the car engine, but it struggled, it was a little bit of a struggle for speed. And I was talking to Jason Miller, my crew chief, and he said, this car that you're driving right now, last year finished 2nd in that race there at Daytona, and it qualified 15th, but it was a Chevrolet car then, you know what I mean? So, and you're just puzzled, man. I mean, I'm once you find out, hey, it's a possibility we may not be in the race, man, it never even crossed my mind. And man, it was, I'd be lying sitting here telling you lies, like somebody put a knife in my heart and twisted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember last time I didn't make a race, and man, especially at Daytona, man, our car looked great, Ticket Smarter, Digital LI, Brett Baer special report. I mean, the car looked awesome. It was great. And man, never did I ever think in my wildest dream that we were going to go there and miss the race, but we've all been there. Somebody was just telling me the other day, I think Sunday at Daytona, and say, hey, David, remember 2 or 3 years ago when a couple of Roger Penske cars didn't make the Indianapolis 500. I mean, it happens. We had Jacques Villeneuve we introduced Saturday night, and I didn't know this, but I guess he was down in Daytona 13, 12 years ago, whatever it was, and he missed the Daytona 500. He's a, Formula One world champion, Indianapolis 500 champion. But, as much as it hurts, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, it was hard to accept that. But once, no excuses. I mean, it happened. And, once you get knocked down, as fast as your body hits the ground, you got to bounce back up and keep digging. We're fighters, we're winners, and you can't let that slow you down for the future. So, my team's working hard, and we'll rebound. But that one hurt, man. I didn't see that one coming, and I didn't see that one coming. But it happens. It's part of the business we're in. But dude, I would have never thought that, and the people behind me that I did out qualify, I think 3 or 4 of them got to run the race, man. That was tough.
Yeah. So along those same lines, you talk about this, the shock to the heart that it was, and, that, it did affect you, and obviously so. But now that you're off this week with, with the Stewart-Haas guys taking the 08 car this week, that's won their races, you're doing your racing school, then you come back the next week and run Las Vegas. With having to wait 2 weeks for your season essentially to start, does that make the desire even go up a bit? Does the motivation, I know you were already motivated very high and such. Are you even more hungry than you were now to get this season going and on the right note here?
Well, you can't, like you said, you can't motivate me anymore. And that desire to get back into victory lane and desire just to be competitive and to race, man, there's nothing, man, it's hard to describe it to people, but man, that from the first race I ran in NASCAR, 24 years later, 25 years later, that same desire, passion, people say, are you hungry? I said, man, I'm starving. You know what I mean? I want to compete. I want to, I'd like to win another race or two, be competitive week in and week out. That's never gone away over the years. In fact, it burns hotter in my body. That's what I think about. I live, eat, and sleep what we do. It seems like the older I get, the more I want to even win more. It's crazy. But, I've been doing this for so long. I'm excited that I'm going to Vegas here in 2 weeks. I think about California. I've always ran great at the California racetrack, 2 mile super speedway, man, we run up against the wall. I've always ran great there. And to run that race, which I knew when I signed my deal with SS Greenlight, that would be one of the 5 races that I wasn't going to run. It's like, man, you can't dwell on it too much. It'll drive you crazy. You know what I mean? You just got to focus. Obviously I have a racing school this weekend. Keeps my mind off thinking about, if I didn't have a racing school this weekend, I'd probably be at the racetrack in California with my team, really driving me crazy. You know what I mean? But now that I'm so busy, ever since I landed from Daytona Sunday night, man, I've just been, all about getting our cars ready, getting my racing school ready for our weekend this weekend. But man, it's I think about it all day long. I can't wait to get to Vegas because I want to race, and I want to race. I want to race because I want to race to win, and I want to race to run good. And so yeah, it's there 24/7. I couldn't even last night. I worked at my shop all day long and got home pretty late last night. Made it to my son's basketball game. And hell, by the time I got in bed, it was midnight. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just thinking about racing. It's like, there's everything, and I got to write something down, but I'm like, man, I wish I had a switch. You know how we got a power switch in the race cars where you just turn the power off? I wish I had one for myself because, man, I can't stop thinking about, Daytona. I can't stop thinking about Las Vegas. And, I had several conversations with my crew chief, thinking about what we were talking about with some aero stuff on the body and chassis stuff. And I just, if you could just turn it off where you could get a good night's sleep to do yourself a favor, it's hard to turn all that off, and I think it goes back to just my drive and my passion to race and to be competitive. I'm always thinking about it, and I'm thinking about it so much I can't even sleep at night, man. It's nuts.
Absolutely. We're talking to David Starr. Let's go racing with David Starr, looking back at the weekend that was in Daytona, and allow us to shift gears and transition to that Daytona 500. Dominic, you love to look at the historical perspective as much as anybody, and I mean, last year we talked so much about the upset of Michael McDowell. This, to me, I know that Cindric was driving for Roger Penske, but being just his 8th career start, this felt like just as big of an upset as the McDowell one was last year. I mean, we don't talk about guys this early on in their careers winning the Daytona 500. The only one that comes to mind is Trevor Bayne only had a couple starts before getting his Daytona 500 win. I mean, this is very rare for somebody to do this at that young in their career.
And it's going to be career changing. So no matter what happens here on out, this kind of, and David, I'm curious to get your take on this too. I feel like as an outsider, right, looking at somebody who's never raced in NASCAR, of course, but somebody just who has observed the sport over the years, when you win a championship or you win the Daytona 500, your resume is forever padded with that. You carry so much more stock with you that you're able to do a lot more things. Had you maybe finished second in that race, that maybe those fruits wouldn't have been able to have been pulled. I think of Derek Cope as a great example, Tyler. Cope won the Daytona 500 early in his career too. He won another race that season in 1990, the Whitcomb car, I believe, in 90, but only 2 career wins. But Tyler, he was attempting the Daytona 500 as recent as last year. And that 500 changes your life. I think even Clint Boyer had said, there's guys still racing that have won the Daytona 500 because it changed. And David, it just seems like no matter what happens in Austin Cindric's career, we're going to be able to say he was a Daytona 500 champion, and that will forever have that added stock, if you will, to Austin Cindric and how he carries himself. No matter what happens here on out, he will always be a Daytona 500 champion, and that's going to alter the course of his career.
Man, Dominic, you guys hit it. You're right on target there. Austin Cindric is the Daytona 500 champion. It's life-changing. You ask any competitor, any NASCAR driver, there's not a lot of us in the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, Cup Series, and I think everyone would probably tell you if there's one race they could win, it would be the Daytona 500, because nobody's ever going to take that away from Austin Cindric. And man, he might be a rookie, but he didn't race like a rookie. I mean, I didn't, man, he was
aggressive,
very aggressive. He pushed Brad Keselowski for a long time. He shoved and bumped draft several people to the front of the race, to the front. He was going to be a force to be reckoned with for the win in the Daytona 500, and nobody gave it to him. He earned it. He does drive for Roger Penske. It was kind of interesting to see Brad Keselowski's old car pushing Brad Keselowski in the number 6. I thought that was kind of interesting, but not surprised that Cindric ended up in victory lane, because he was strong from the time they dropped that green flag. He was strong. He was strong during the duels. All the Fords were, but man, he let his presence be known from the start of the Daytona 500 that he was going to be one of the guys you were going to have to beat to win that race. And man, not shocking, and good for him. It's to be so young and be a rookie. I mean, good for him. I heard a little bit of rumblings yesterday. Somebody had people around me. Somebody said, well, Manny drives for Roger Penske. Dude, it don't matter who you drive for. He raced. He was a hell of a race car driver. He drove a perfect race. There was stuff happening all around him, and he avoided it. And man, nobody gave him the Daytona 500. He earned it with his ability, and with a strong race car, a strong team behind him. And congratulations to him. It could end tomorrow for him, but man, it's life changing. He will always be a Daytona 500 champion, just like Derek Cope. It was life changing for Derek Cope, and for anybody involved in our industry. Everybody's shooting or doing everything they can to do what Austin Cindric did Sunday.
Well, and Dominic too, he's now in the playoff. That's for certain. And you look at his track record on road courses, he's done a heck of a job on that front, the Xfinity Series, and he ran strong in the Cup road courses he ran last year. There's a chance this could be one of the best rookie seasons ever that we've seen, that Austin Cindric, it won't be the last that we've heard from him in 2022, that we could see him in victory lane very well again this year. We don't talk about rookies having multiple race wins and being playoff contenders. This doesn't happen. Austin Cindric very well could.
Absolutely. And I think, Tyler, we had talked about it on a previous show, maybe a few weeks back. We were kind of going over some 2022 predictions. And I think we went around the room and we had said Austin Cindric is going to be a guy to watch out for on those road courses. And I think as you told me at the end of the season, yeah, Cindric's going to win a race and make the playoffs. I would agree with that. I think wholeheartedly, look at a track like the Circuit of the Americas or Road America, somewhere where we have seen him run well. And when he ran that limited schedule in Cup last year, he ran well. I believe he even won a pole position or qualified up front when they did have qualifying. I'm not surprised Austin Cindric's a winner. Had you told me the Daytona 500, I'd be like, whoa, that's a little soon. But yeah, there's guys, Tyler, in that field that have been trying for years. So many past champions of that sport. Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex, Kyle Busch come to mind that have yet to cross the line first in the Daytona 500. Kyle Larson, most recent champion. Chase Elliott, right? Some of these big name guys that have yet to win the 500, and Cindric did it in his second attempt. And you talk about those rookie numbers and those rookie stats. We know Cindric is going to be in the playoffs, like you said. If Harrison Burton doesn't make the playoffs or Todd Gilliland, it's over. Austin Cindric is your rookie of the year at the end of the regular season because of the way NASCAR does it based on straight up points you earn throughout the year. But this could shape up to be one of the best rookie seasons in memory. I think back to Chase Elliott in 2016, running top 10 consistently, finished 10th in points. Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, the rookie battle of 2002, where they were both 5th and 6th in points. Tony Stewart in 1999, he knocked off 3 wins, finished 4th.
Don't forget Kyle Busch in 05 with 2 wins.
He knocked off 2 wins, did not make the playoffs, but he won 2 races. So there's so much to look at here. We're so early in the year. Cindric is shaping up to have a really good rookie year, and would not be surprised if he's top 10 in the points at the end of the year.
Well, and David, you raced in that Xfinity finale last year that came down to the very last lap when Austin Cindric gave up the lead to Daniel Hendrick at the line, and Daniel Hendrick was able to get his first career Xfinity win and take the title away from Cindric after Cindric had been the favorite all season long. And even with transition to Cup, moving on to the 2-team and the legacy car at Penske. That's not just any car. That is the car at Penske, that 2-car team is. It was still lingering in the back of his mind. He said that was still something he was thinking about. He had not let go of what happened back in Phoenix last November. And he's won an Xfinity championship before. But now he wins this Daytona 500 here. To me, that was fascinating to hear that from Austin, of how much drive and motivation he still had, that he still wasn't over what happened in Phoenix. If anything, it may have even helped him, made him hungry, that desire of some sorts, coming in with a chip on his shoulder of some sorts to begin his Cup career here.
Yeah, you always forget about the ones that you should have won, you know what I mean? And Cindric was the class of the field there at the last race there in Phoenix for the Xfinity Championship. And with the caution right there at the end, changed the complexion of the race, our champion, he snuck up in there, got into turn 3, got back to the gas quicker. And, it was just a racing thing, you know what I mean? But he just barely lost it by inches. And, I get it, it's hard to let go of that. You know what I mean? But one thing about it, he'd let go of it Sunday. I'd give up losing a championship by an inch or two to win the Daytona 500. No problem. So, but yeah, it's just, you don't forget about those ones, and Cindric, should have had another championship, came down to the last lap, coming to the checker flag and losing it by an inch or 2 inches, whatever it was, man, that's a tough one to accept. But man, when he saw the checker flags waved to be the Daytona 500 champion, anything that's ever happened to him that's been a challenge or disappointment, man, I don't even think he thinks about it today.
Well, David, what really struck me in that media center, they pulled him in and he gave about 45 minutes of his time to the print media that night in Daytona. And there was there was a lot of humility with what Austin had to say, and looking back and reflecting to where he had gotten to his career at that point. In 2018, running the Xfinity Series, and David, you were full-time in the Xfinity Series that year too. He talked a lot about tearing up race cars and not running well in the equipment that he had, and how had somebody told him he would have been a 500 champion, he would have never believed it. But the journey that Austin Cindric had from running that split schedule with Roush and Penske in 2018 to winning races, to winning a championship, Dave, he said it best. He said, if I had to lose an Xfinity championship to win a Daytona 500, it was well-deserved, that he would do it every time.
Absolutely. We just, you're just, anytime you get in a race car, I don't care if it's a dirt track, South Carolina, asphalt track in Houston, Texas, wherever, you're learning, you're getting better. Austin, he's a great race car driver, Daytona 500 champion now, but it's just, hey, we all have careers that start somewhere, and you get better and better and learn this and understand this. And but man, all the the journey to this point for him, with the challenges that have presented itself to him in our sport, in which the challenges present themselves to almost everybody involved in the sport, and it's the ones that keep digging. You can reflect sometimes when you win the Daytona 500 and you are the champion. You can reflect on 2 or 3 years past, how challenged something was, and it's a great story, just a great story. And man, I think he's going to be a great 500 champion. And man, and I think what you guys were talking about earlier, we ain't heard the last of Austin Cindric. You know what I mean? He, I think he's going to be a powerhouse this year. He's got the organization behind him. He has the ability and the want to and the desire. And man, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for the championship. My personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. The other thing that stood out to me, guys, this weekend was the blue ovals with the Fords. Now, we talked about in qualifying how Hendrick Motorsports and the Chevrolets just dominated qualifying. But once we saw race trim with the duels and then the race itself, the Fords were on another pedestal. Cindric first, Chase Briscoe third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Eric Almirola fifth, McDowell seventh, Brad Kay ninth. I mean, all up and down that leaderboard. Ford. Something about these Fords, David, they had it figured out. Maybe not necessarily in qualifying, but in race trim, the Fords were so good from the jump. And RFK Racing, I know that it's Penske ultimately that comes away with the victory, but I think the team that really comes away this weekend feeling good about themselves going forward is that Roush bunch with Keselowski, with sweeping the dual races and Then Brad finished in the top 10. Good weekend for Ford and a great debut for this new RFK racing team.
Man, no doubt about it. You know, Ford, you know, they come to win championships and win races, you know, and you know, they got an awesome program, and you know, the Ford power, the Roush shape power plant underneath the hood of these Cup cars, they give up a little bit, like you said, qualifying, but man, when they drop the green, that's what it's all about. Nobody remembers where you qualify at. It's you know, how you finish the race, how your car runs and performs throughout the race. And man, even though we saw the dominance of Hendrick Motorsports and the other Chevys at the front of the qualifying order, but man, once they dropped the green flag, man, the Fords came to the front. And you know, and it's interesting because it seemed like the Ford family on the Cup side, they were really engaged with each other, and they worked well together. And man, like you were talking, Tyler, they were all up near the front pretty much the whole entire race. And it's amazing how they all worked well together with each other to help. All the Fords helped each other. And, you know, I saw out there, you'd have a bunch of the Toyota guys running together, a bunch of the Chevy guys running, but, you know, it's just believing in a program. I'm sure Ford and everybody involved with Ford Racing, with the crew chief, the engineers, and the powers to be, you know, said, hey, if we're going to win the Daytona 500, we need to come together as a manufacturer. And man, we saw that so well in the duels, and we've seen it working to the best of its ability during the Daytona 500. But their Fords were strong, like they always are.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
here, my question for you too, because you know, man, I was looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the stats, and Austin Cindric and his drive in the Daytona 500. He does have a chance at NASCAR history this week, and I want to ask you how realistic you all think this could be. Only 3 times has it happened in NASCAR history where the winner of a points awarding Cup Series race for the first time goes and backs up that win. The drivers to do that include Ned Jarrett, Billy Wade, and Dick Linder. It hasn't been done since 1964. Tyler, let's start with you. How likely do you think Austin Cindric could go back-to-back and break that for the first time in almost 60 years?
That's not happening.
No, what do you think about it, Dave?
Dominic, did you say Billy Wade?
Billy Wade.
Billy Wade was from Houston, Texas, and I read a lot about Billy Wade and a lot of history books and stuff. He raced in Playland Park, Myers Speedway in Houston, Texas, and in fact, I know his daughter, and that's pretty cool that he's in the record books. I had no idea about that. But, you know, to be honest with you, and, you know, I heard Tyler didn't really, he said no way. But, man, the way those Fords ran at Daytona, and then you go into another 2-mile super speedway, you know, they might not qualify good, but, man, you know they're going to race good. And, man, I would put my money on Cindric this week, seeing how good he ran at Daytona. You know, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Austin Cindric ended up in victory lane with the powerhouse team he drives for, and just everything, the manufacturer support. I mean, man, they're right now they're hitting on all 8 cylinders, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit.
I'd be very surprised if a rookie goes back-to-back to start the season, but we'll see. How about this, guys? The official debut of the next-gen car. We didn't see a whole lot of pack racing. It looked very similar to what we saw in the early 2000s of, you know, the draft being, you know, 2, 3, 4 cars, a lot of single file stuff. But it was still exciting. And, you know, we had some wrecks, but not, you know, a huge amount of collateral damage like we're used to talking about in some of these plate races in the past and such. Very entertaining race, goes to overtime, right down to the line and such. I was impressed. I liked what I saw from this next-gen car. Let's go around the room. How would you grade the debut of the next-gen car? Let's start with you, Dominic. How would you grade the next-gen car for its debut on a scale of, you know, A to F?
Sure, I would give it an A. I think there was so much surrounding the next gen car. The Clash certainly made the hype around the Daytona 500, I think, even more amplified. And I think it delivered. We saw great racing. We saw side-by-side racing. We saw single file. We saw some great battles for stage endings. We saw crashes. We saw how the car held up when the car flipped with Harrison Burton's crash in the middle of stage one. We saw a great finish. I think it certainly delivered on its expectations. I think it got an A from me. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I'm gonna second that, Dominic. I'm gonna give it an A as well. I think the racing was great. The car was durable. Car was safe. To see what happened to Harrison Burton and how strong the cars were. Some of the cars hit the wall, and it really didn't look like it hurt them that bad. But man, the racing was still good. I don't think from Daytona's past, what am I trying to say here? I think the drivers did a great job navigating the first race for the next gen car. There was a lot of beating and banging, a lot of pushing, but it wasn't a physical race like it had been in the past. But I'd have to rate it. I'd have to rate it an A. You know what I mean? It was just it like you guys were saying, it had everything. It had side by side racing, great drafting. The low line would dominate for a little bit, and then they'd get the outside working, and then the outside dominated, and they start working on the bottom. And the wrecks, the bump drafting and bump drafting on somebody coming off a corner sometimes works and sometimes it didn't. But man, I thought it was an exciting weekend, exciting race, and man, I'm excited about the rest of the season to see how this next gen car holds up. And but I think it's going to be a great season with everything. So I give the Daytona 500 with the next gen car definitely a big A.
All right, I'll be the tough professor. I'll give it a B because I'm a big fan of pack racing, and I don't think we saw enough pack racing. I would like to see more pack racing. And so, with everything else you mentioned, I'm not saying you guys are wrong at all. I agree with almost everything both you just said, but I would like to see more pack racing. Because of that, I drop in a letter grade. I'll give it a B. So,
I can agree with that. And I think a lot of that was, it was kind of interesting. It was just the way the strategy was playing out. The manufacturers, they were all pitting at different times, and it spread the field out. You know what I mean? I don't think that the front of the field drove away from the second part of the field. I just think the way the pit strategy was playing out, it separated them a lot, but I agree with you, Tyler. There was not the big pack type racing that we've seen in years past, you know what I mean? But when it came down to it, man, it was a hell of a race.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was. Guys, let's go ahead and get to our news and notes segment. Dominic, time for you to take it away. What's happening in the motorsports world?
Well, ahead of the Daytona 500 on Sunday, Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports announced that they were agreeing to an extension. Chase Elliott's not going anywhere, guys. He's going to be piloting the 9-car at Hendrick Motorsports through at least the year 2027. The contract announcement came Sunday ahead of the Daytona 500, and that just shows that Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Gordon with his leadership, Rick Hendrick, they believe in Chase. They believe in what he's doing. Elliott's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that news coming in, no surprise. I mean, Chase Elliott's been their golden child since he was 15 years old, and his next contract after this, David's probably going to be the lifetime contract that Hendrick eventually offers his drivers when they've reached that point in their careers. He's going to be in that Napa 9-car his whole career at Hendrick Motorsports. It was only a matter of time before he got this big deal. It's well-deserved, and it's there's no reason why they should break up. It's a win-win for both Chase and for Rick Hendrick.
Yeah, I mean, and Tyler, I totally agree with you. Why was you, why did it take this long? Hell, it's Chase Elliott, Cup Series champion. He's I mean, Yeah, just he ain't going anywhere. I mean, Jeff Gordon, Rick Hendricks, Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, he's a golden child, has been for a long time, will be for a long time. And I'm surprised they just now gave him the contract. You know what I mean? When I learned that, I was kind of surprised by that. It's like, man, I would have thought they'd have locked him down a long time ago. You know what I mean? Because they don't make him too much better than Chase Elliott, that's for sure. And why would you ever break up or consider breaking up a championship caliber team organization? Chase Elliott's a major part of it. His crew chief, the organization. I mean, hell, you don't mess with a championship caliber team. And we're not surprised that he got an extension. And I agree with you guys. I think he'll be there forever.
Yeah. Well, and Dominic, we heard from Rick say that the next deal for them is to get William Byron extended. And they already have, Kyle Larson with a couple more years added. Alex Bowman got a new contract recently. For Hendrick Motorsports, this is going to be their lineup for a long time. This is a group that basically has come up together, almost all four of them. And we've never talked about that with Hendrick Motorsports. Usually it's been a couple of veterans and a couple of young guys, and then one guy's out and a revolving door of some sorts. But these four guys, I don't think it would shock anybody if these four guys all race at Hendrick Motorsports for the next 10 years.
I think you're onto something there, Tyler. There's consistency in the Hendrick Motorsports camp, and they have shown time and time again why they belong, why they're there. William Byron, 2 wins, but the consistency that he has shown, he's gotten better every year. He finished top 10 in points for the first time last year, picked up the win at Homestead Miami Speedway, and just had an all-around consistent year. Alex Bowman with 4 wins last year. Chase Elliott, the defending champion entering 2021, and Kyle Larson, the current defending champion. Hendrick Motorsports has won the driver's title the last 2 years. Why would you want to fix something that isn't broken?
Right. I mean, David, I know that Hendrick has had Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch and, Jeff Gordon, all these Hall of Famers. But this is a unique time for Hendrick Motorsports that they have all 4 of their drivers for the first time ever, either at their prime of their careers or just starting to enter the prime of their careers. This is a really unique time for Hendrick.
It is. You got a young powerhouse championship team, and it ain't going anywhere for a long time. And they're all those guys, those 4 drivers, those 4 teams, that organization. That's championship caliber team right there. And either, it's like, who's our champion going to be this 2022? It's probably one of those 4 guys. You know what I mean? It's just like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's kind of an interesting situation. And but man, I think it's going to be in place for a long time. Like you said, Tom.
Last thing on this one, Dominic, before we move on. Usually in these powerhouse teams, we always talk about one team being the weaker link of some sorts that isn't with the other ones. It's hard to have 4 contending cars here. When you look at these 4 drivers and the teams that are around them going forward, do you think, Dom, that all 4 drivers are championship caliber? Can they all 4 win championships down the road, or do you think it's just 2 or just 3 of them? What say you?
I think 3 come to mind right away. I think William Byron, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson have clearly done it. Byron's won championships at the lower level. Alex Bowman certainly had a different climb to where he got. But that's the thing with Alex Bowman. If he can put together a consistent year, because he won 4 races last year, but there were just so many mishaps. And I think we had talked about it on the show last year too. It seemed like he was the quote unquote weakest link of the 4, but still running in the top 10 consistently. But still a lot of issues plagued him from not even being in the championship 4 race last year. So based on that, I would say those 3. But hey, Alex Bowman's still a young guy, so there's still plenty of room to get better and better. And it seems like that's what's happening here. But as of right now, I would say Byron over Alex Bowman, and that's just because of the consistency factor we've seen the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right about that. As far as that goes, it kind of reminds me in football terms, guys, of we have all these great young quarterbacks right now in the NFL. With Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. Well, in NASCAR right now, they have all four of the young franchise quarterbacks at Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, that's what we're talking about in comparison to what's going on right now. It's a real special time there for Hendrick. What else is going on, Dominic?
Yeah, so from one team to another, teams with humble beginnings making the Daytona 500 for the first time. The Money Team. Adam Stern of the Sports Business Journal is reporting that the Money Team is now eyeing the Circuit of the Americas race in March as their next race, potentially tabbing Kaz Grala back behind the wheel. So they made the 500. They raced their way in on a dramatic last lap transfer position against him versus JJ Ailey. They make the 500. It looks like their next race potentially could be next month as well. Kaz behind the wheel again. Again, another accomplished road racer of some sorts. Kaz Grala could get the job done again for that team.
David, Kaz Garla, a guy that's done well on road courses in the past, that could be a good showing for Floyd Mayweather's team in just their second race.
And good for Kaz, to have an opportunity racing Cup with, with this new Money Team. And, I think he's doing them a great job. He did them a great job, put them in the Daytona 500. That's a big deal. The Circus of America, COTA. That's a smart move right there because Kaz gets around that track really, really well. He's a great road racer, and man, why not? I think it's wonderful, and I think it's a great partnership with the driver and the team, and I'm glad it's going well for him.
That'd be great to see. Kaz, Dominic, this is a guy that's been grinding. I mean, he's earned this opportunity here.
He certainly has. He made his second Daytona 500. He's run 5 Cup races, 2 top 10 finishes. He has shown time and time again he gets limited opportunities, but kind of like that super sub role. I think of Matt Flynn in the NFL 10 years ago. That super sub role, you throw him in and he's going to do great. Or like Alex Bowman from a few years ago, or Regan Smith, that super sub role. Kaz Grala has kind of taken on that role over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I believe that's it for news and notes this week.
That is. Yeah, now Tyler, it's time for everybody's favorite segment. You got to remind me, what's it called again?
Ask Dominic.
Oh, no, that don't sound right. It sounds familiar, but I think it's maybe a little better than that.
Ask Tyler.
Ask Tyler. Isn't that the segment?
No one wants to ask me anything. No, I don't have anything important to say. No, time for Ask David. We ask you to submit questions to us on Facebook, facebook.com/David Starr Podcast, Twitter @Starr Podcast, and by email, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. The first question in the inbox this week comes from Buddy, and Buddy wants to know, David, how many wins will Kyle Larson get this year?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see him win 5 or 6 races, and maybe more. I mean, man, that guy was on fire last year. He couldn't lose. And, our champion for 2021, I'd have to say 6 or 7 races myself. What about you guys? I'll be curious to see how many races you think he'll win.
I feel like 10 wins is going to be hard to pull off again, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere between 5 to 8 wins. Kyle Larson can show he can do it on all kinds of racetracks. And I know he has a lot more eyes on him, probably a lot more pressure as the Cup Series defending champion. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least 4 to 5, maybe.
But let me say this, Dominic. We got a different type of race car, you know what I mean? But I still think Kyle Larson is going to come to the front, even with this new next-gen race car. I'm excited to watch and see how it all turns out. But, man, he's a champion, and have an organization like Hendrick Motorsports behind you. And but, yeah, I'm excited for it. I think he's going to run 6, 7 races this year. What about you, Tyler? What's your thoughts, buddy?
I think 5 or 6 is probably a good number. I mean, is he capable of winning 10 again? I mean, yes, but realistically, that's hard to replicate. I think about 5 or 6 would be a really good year for Kyle Larson. And the other thing I would add to that, David, you know, we've always known that Kyle's a terrific talent, but what made it work this year was not only Hendrick Motorsports, but Cliff Daniels. Cliff Daniels did a really good job with that team this past year. And some of the calls that he made, some of those wins were because of calls he directly made. Those were Cliff Daniels' wins. So to me, I think that, David, this is the next great crew chief pairing. You know, Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels have a lot of wins in their future, I think.
Man, I think you guys are right about that. You know, why would you break up that championship caliber pairing? You know what I mean? But yeah, they're all young and it's going to be around for a long time. And I think we're going to see a lot more championships from this Hendrick group with Kyle Larson and his crew chief, no doubt.
All right. Got another question. This one comes from Anna. This is a funny one. This one goes a little bit here, so stay with me here.
All right.
Anna wants to know, David, my friend's wedding is coming up, and I'm struggling with the idea of buying her a gift. Normally, I wouldn't think twice about it, but here's the thing. They're already married, and they're just now having the ceremony. They've been married for 2 years. Am I wrong for not wanting to give my friend a wedding gift?
Wow, dude. Man, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think we're all friends. You know, if you guys got married 2 years ago, we're just now celebrating. You know, I'm going to have to get you a wedding gift, you know what I mean? Because hell, we're buddies, you know what I mean? We're friends, you know, and, you know, even though Dominic got married last year, we ain't celebrated yet. You know, he still needs some pots and pans, you know, and a vacuum cleaner, you know, so he can keep the house clean for his wife. And, you know, I don't know, you know, I don't know how to really answer that. But for me personally, if you know, if one of you guys got married 2 years ago, then COVID hit and we couldn't have a big ceremony. And then, man, one day we need to celebrate this, you know, this wedding. You know, I would thank everybody that didn't show up the first time because there was no celebration. You know, 2 years later, there needs to be a celebration. Hell, you know, these people going to be upset. You invite 100, 200 people come to a celebration and ain't nobody brought a gift, man. That's tough, man. I was like, where's the love? Nobody loves me. You know what I mean? So I think you guys would be upset if you know, Tyler and Dominic be upset with us if he got married. You know, we go another year and he finally has a ceremony and we don't show up with gifts, buddy. We might hurt his feelings.
What do you think, Dom? What's your take?
Well, I think David's onto something there. Yeah, if you've been invited, they're doing the ceremony. Yeah, maybe it's a good thing to celebrate. I have a friend who actually got married during the pandemic, and they celebrated their wedding last year. And while I couldn't attend, I was still able to send them off a gift through the mail. So I don't know if that helps with that, Anna. But yeah, that's funny, Dave. I'm not married yet, but you know, we'll see.
You wouldn't, man. Me and Tyler, man. Hell, we thought, man, you've been married for about 6 months now, haven't you?
Might as well be at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well be. So we're going to send a present when we have the celebration.
Oh yeah. What's your guys' nickname for her, Miss Dominic?
Miss Dominic.
Miss Dominic, awesome. Yeah. David, what was the best wedding gift you got?
Man, you know, it was just, I think the best wedding gift was just all the love that was there when I got married. You know what I mean? We talk about weddings and, you know, your friends come, your families come, just all the love, you know, that somebody would actually come to your wedding. You know, you have such a good friendship and family members that, you know, I just felt like on my wedding day, it went by so quick. It was awesome. We had a lot of people there, but it was just a lot of love in the atmosphere. It was just cool, you know, and I think the gift to me was not a gift that you open up and you're going to use in your life. I just think the friendships and the people that came and family members, I think that was the ultimate gift. And then marrying my wife was really, I guess, the biggest gift I could ever want,
That's a good answer. Very
Yeah.
smart man.
Sure.
Got another question in the inbox. This comes from Jimmy. Jimmy wants to know, David, how many piercings do you have?
Well, if you know my dad and how Johnny and Jimmy and myself and my uncle, we really don't have. There's nothing wrong with piercings, but we grew up kind of the old school way, and
No tattoos either?
no, there was no tattoos, no piercings, and a lot of
he's got that piercing for all of us.
yeah, he does. Dominic does, but
Well, I'll tell you guys, that's what happens when you play stupid games. You win stupid prizes. Just saying.
yeah, well, me and Tyler try not to get involved in stupid stuff. We don't have to do stupid things, but the way I was raised, man, my best friend, he had earrings in both his ears, and my dad let me know real quick, how it was going to be if I was still living under his roof, and all the racing we did and everything. He just kind of old school, and you kind of guys know how kind of old school goes. My dad always said, earrings are for women, you know what I mean? And and he would probably twist it out of my ear, but anyway, I was just, piercings are awesome. Lots of friends with them all over their bodies. I don't judge anybody. I think they're cool, but for me personally, I have none. Tyler, look at our best buddy, Dominic. Hell, he's got a piercing right in his nose or his mouth, or whatever. I don't remember where he has it at, but we still love him.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you make bets you think you could win and you take a high stakes bet. And yeah, what can I say? It makes for a funny story, though.
So, Dominic, we know you got piercings. Well, what about Tyler? We don't know about Tyler.
I don't have any piercings. Dominic almost talked me in one time to get my nipple pierced, but I didn't do it.
You were driven by money. We were with a group of friends in Daytona for years.
They offered me $400 to get my nipple pierced, and we were just about to do it. This is in Daytona about 2 or 3 years ago. We were just about to do it, and the piercing place was closed.
Thank God. Thank God.
So
I write him a letter, tell him thank you for being closed. I was fixing to be stupid, and I ended up not because y'all were closed. So thank you.
Right. I'm not opposed to tattoos either. I just haven't found the one thing I want in my body for the rest of my life. That's where I'm at.
I'd like to have a tattoo, but when I'm ready for it to wash off, I want it to wash off, and it, so it's like there's some beautiful, sexy, cool tattoos out there. Some of my buddies' arms are all tatted up. They're freaking awesome. But I don't know. I'm just I love tattoos, but I just don't want any myself.
I know what you mean. I can appreciate the artwork behind it. I'm sure you can too, Dave. But yeah, I'm the same way. I haven't found anything that I want on my body. Yeah. Not really the biggest fan of them, but I can appreciate the artwork and what goes into that process.
I love tattoos so much, guys. I once went to a tattoo convention, walked around there. I was there all day long, and I was so intrigued by it. You know what I mean? And you would have thought, people say, "Hey, well, show us what you have," and when you say, "Man, I have none," say, "What are you doing here?"
Were you tempted at all during that convention, like maybe to get something?
What's that?
During that convention, did it all cross your mind? Maybe I should leave here with something, like they were doing anything?
Never crossed my mind, dude. No.
Maybe I'll get you guys' names tattooed on me.
Oh man, Tyler, please don't.
It'd be a very sweet gesture, Tyler, but yeah, you don't have to do that.
Okay, that's nice. That's good to hear.
Very flattered you would think of that, though.
You need to save that for your future wife, man. Whatever her name's going to be.
Okay.
All right.
I'll remember that one. Keep that in memory. Before we go, David, tell the folks about what you got going on with the racing school this week, and now you're taking this over from your uncle. Now, this Team Texas High Performance Racing School, which has been going on a long time at Texas Motor Speedway, and now you're overseeing it. And if people were wanting to hop in a race car, there's plenty of opportunities to get signed up and get on out Texas Motor Speedway throughout the year.
And my new slogan is come feel the speed, drive a real NASCAR race car. You know what I mean? TeamTexas.com. What's cool about our sport is, my buddies at the Dallas Cowboy, I'm a big Cowboy fan, Dak Prescott, and just, all the Cowboys. Man, I go to the awesome AT&T Stadium, our Cowboy Stadium. And man, it's awesome. And man, I want to get out there and put on some shoulder pads and play a little football. Well, that's never going to happen. You know what I mean? But man, all our awesome fans around the country, they can go to any racetrack across the country here, jump in a NASCAR race car. And if a lot of those fans are here at the Texas Motor Speedway, they know they can call up, go to teamtexas.com, sign up for a class, come drive a race car with 9 other people around them. You get a slower race car passes a faster race car passes a slower car. It's the closest you can get to being in a NASCAR race, but you're not in a NASCAR race as you can get, and it's pretty awesome. My Uncle Mike built Team Texas High Performance Driving School the last 30 years, and I'm so proud of it. It's we've been racing our whole lives, and this has been this business that Mike started and perfected. Now me and Kim are the owners, and man, I'm excited about it. I'm gonna be a NASCAR driver, hopefully another 5 or 10 years, who knows when, but it's only natural that we that we kept our Team Texas High Performance NASCAR school going. It's an awesome school. And we got real NASCAR race cars, and man, it's I love seeing the people that come to our racing school. Man, they jump, they get out, they're hollering and screaming, and they get a different perspective. But man, it's a joy I enjoy, and I'm glad to be the owner of it now.
Yeah, teamtexas.com for more information there. Big weekend coming up this Sunday, and if you can't get out to Texas Motor Speedway this weekend, there's plenty of dates in June, in July, August, September. TeamTexas.com has more information there for that. Also, guys, we told you last week that we kind of teased an announcement of sorts that I was moving to Dallas, and I wanted to just provide a little more detail in case folks didn't know what was going on.
What's going on, Tyler? I hear all this talk. Why are you moving to that? What's going on, dude?
Yeah, we hear all this chatter, right, David? It's like all
chat
stuff. Yeah.
What's going on, man?
So chat would be a very good word. Yeah.
Just smoking cigars on the beach and living up this great life. And, I'm like, man, something big's happening. Hell, Tyler's, he's traveling in the country and been in Nashville and hanging out at Jack Daniel's house and doing all this stuff, man.
I know. David, he's got to chat with us. Chat with us, Tyler. What's going on? Chat with the audience, too.
Well, I'm excited to officially announce that I will be taking my talents to Dallas, Texas, beginning March 7th. I'll be joining Chat Sports as an NFL host and analyst and making the move out there. Dream job opportunity, couldn't pass up. And so I'll be leaving Omaha in just the next few days, actually. Pack up my apartment and get on the road and, be neighbors with David. And so that'll, it's a great opportunity for my career-wise and certainly excited about that. But for this show, we're going to be able to do things we haven't been able to do before. And that's going to certainly open up some doors. And, me and David being down the street from each other is going to be great. And to be able to work more hands-on in this podcast and such. I mean, it's just a win-win for all parties involved. So, on a personal note too, I, being from Tulsa, we grew up going to the Metroplex all the time. Dallas has always been a second home for me. When I was in high school, I took classes at SMU one summer and stayed in the dorms, it's always felt home. And so even though I'm not going back to Tulsa, this feels like I'm coming home. And so, this just makes sense for everybody involved. It's, this is a dream job opportunity, covering the NFL full time. This show is not going anywhere. My other show, the Jones Report, which has been around since 2011, is going to continue. And if anything, all this is just going to get better. So that was the big news. We announced it a couple of days ago on social media, and first time I had a chance to talk about it in depth publicly with you guys, but definitely excited for what's ahead, and glad that we get to continue doing this show, and if anything, just enhance it from here.
Happy for you, Tyler. So happy for you. You did say something that sounded a little concerning, and you said you were going to be David's neighbor just down the road. I apologize in advance, David.
Well, hey, buddy, congratulations. Nobody's more passionate about the NFL than Tyler Jones, and I think that you're going to be a big asset for this organization. And man, welcome to Dallas, Texas, dude. I think you're really going to love it, and I'm super proud of you. And your future is going to be bright. I hope these people can hang on to you because everybody else is wanting you. So I just hope they don't take you out of Dallas, Texas. You know what I mean? But congratulations to you. Glad to have you here, man. It's going to be cool.
You got a lot of fun out there, man. Live it up for us. I'm so happy for you. So excited. You're going to have a lot of fun, and can't wait to hear some of the stories you get to share, not only with us, but with the podcast listeners as well.
Yeah, it'll be great. And, be in the fourth largest market in the U.S. and, down the road from Texas Motor Speedway. And, just the entertainment of, one night, go to a Mavericks game, or next night go see the Stars, and just have stuff to do. I mean, it's going to be great. And the next chapter I've been looking forward in my career, and certainly going to be great for all of us. And so I thank everybody that's reached out, and it certainly means a lot. And, I'll be giving more updates in the coming days what the all means like, but it'll be here in less than 2 weeks. March 7th is when I'd make that official move. So
you got to clarify real quick, Tyler. Are you talking the Dallas Stars or the Frisco Stars?
The Dallas Stars, yes.
Oh, not the Frisco Stars? Okay.
No, not those Stars. No.
Okay.
Dominic, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, we got a team out at Auto Club Speedway this weekend. Hey, shout out to Justin Malillo, Jonathan Feld helping Daytona 500 coverage this weekend. We'll have Jonathan on site for us in Fontana. Amanda Montoya always shoots photos for us at the California race. We're looking forward to seeing the content they provide us this week. We'll just continue to cover the sport, enterprise stories, and cover the breaking news that's happening around NASCAR. So that's what we got going on. And Tyler, a few minutes ago, you were plugging David's Team Texas School, but you're going to have your hand in that this weekend. I think everybody deserves a listen on what you're doing out there this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be doing some social media and just trying to do some content creation stuff at the racing school. So just doing what I can to be involved and help out and see this all firsthand. So excited to be down there with David and Kim and Mark Tate and company, and should be good. So for more information, log on to teamtexas.com. That does it for episode 56 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. We'll be right back here next week as we'll recap the weekend from Auto Club in California. As always, subscribe to the show. New episodes out each and every Wednesday. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review, or don't leave us one at all. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/David Starr Podcast, Twitter @Starr Podcast, and by email, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. We are a part of the Studio Soapbox Network. This show, my show, the Jones Report, and others, just search Studio Soapbox wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out all of our shows on the network for more information there. We'll put the checker flag out in this show. David Starr, Dominic Carmichael, I'm Dominic Jones. Thank you so long. It's been another edition of Let's Go Racing. See you next time.